Welcome to Toronto, James. Good to have you here with the film. This is, wow, what can I say? I loved it. I thought it was so intense.
Thank you.
And you know, what kind of got you onto the radar of Mary's story?
I first read Mary's story was in, she wrote a book, and it was excerpted in Vanity Fair, and I read it and was like immediately, this is something, this could be amazing, I have to have it. So I called my manager and I said, we have to get the rights to this article before anybody else does. And he called me back and he says, yeah, no one else is trying to get the rights to this article right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So obviously, great screenwriter, you've given us some phenomenal films, and then, you know, hey, taking on the feature film directing chair, no problem. Okay, so were you a little nervous about it?
You seem much more confident saying that than I was doing it, I think. No, absolutely. But it was one of those things where I loved the story, and I really, I wanted, if anyone was going to make it, I wanted to be the one to do it. You know, for better or for worse. I just, you know,
so
really
what
wanted
was
to
it
do
about this whole issue? I mean, we could talk about it for hours, but, you know, the bottom line is, you know, she's trying to do her job.
Yeah.
Things slip through the cracks, you're in hard news, but you're working for 60 Minutes, you're working for CBS, that's the big guns, you know, and was it something that, you know, thought, wow, I really want to tackle this, I want to get this story out there?
Yeah, I'm fascinated sort of by how the sausage is made in a way, and how news sort of gets produced and given to us, and so I wanted to do something that explored that, and then also I think this story is a really interesting fulcrum point in terms of, you know, the kind of journalism I grew up with and the kind of, you know, journalism that exists today, and not that one is better or worse than the other, but it's changed a lot, and sort of this is the last of those moments, I think, where we had the kind of the voice of God anchor sort of existing. And so that was a really interesting thing to explore.
Yeah, and I mean, huge deal to take down Dan Rather.
Yeah.
I mean, really?
Yeah.
It's a fascinating story, and when you have a big anchor like that, you know, it makes me think about stuff that's going on now, of course, what happened with Brian Williams, and, you know, it really makes you think, like, how, you know, journalism has changed so much, especially with the internet. Do you agree with that?
Oh, absolutely, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, it's something that is something that has to be looked at with news corporations, and how do you prove when you have the internet that something is authentic? It's almost impossible. Do you think that CBS was a bit too hard on Mary and her team?
Well, I think it's honestly it's a matter of opinion, and it really is, and I think the movie kind of takes that position as well. But I think that what they weren't prepared for is the rapid response of the internet, and that no one had sort of, this kind of became the playbook in terms of how to take down sort of mainstream media figures with stories, and no one at the time was sort of prepared for, you know, there was stuff online before 60 Minutes went off the air that night about the memos and stuff like that, and nobody was ready for that.
Yeah, and then let's just talk about the cast that you got
for
this movie. Oh my goodness.
They're okay.
Okay, Cate Blanchett. Let's just start with her.
I mean,
Mary Mapes. Wow.
Yeah.
Can that woman do no wrong?
I mean, she's incredible. Yeah. I was so lucky to have her. And we sent the script to her right after Blue Jasmine, and I was convinced that she would not, you know, there was no way she was going to sign on to something with a first-time director after, you know, I mean, the Oscar's still warm in her hand. But she, you know, loved the script and championed it and put her faith and trust in us. And, you know, I mean, how lucky am I?
Yeah, I mean, how does that woman prepare or take on a role when she's so different in everything she does, especially with accents and everything?
Yeah.
You know, what really impressed you about her?
She just, I mean, the preparation was amazing. She spent a lot of time Skyping with Mary, and they would talk, you know, for 2 hours a night on Skype, and it would just be about her life, about everything, about her mannerisms, her, you know, she was really rigorous about that. She was rigorous about the accent, and worked with a dialect, you know, person, and just everything was very prepared, and it shows, I think, in her performances. That's why she's who she is.
Yeah, I know, she's incredible. And then, you know, Robert Redford to play Dan Rather. I mean, Dan must have been so. What was his reaction to finding out that Robert was playing?
That was one of my favorite things that happened, actually, because I got to call Dan and tell him, and it was the first time I'd ever actually heard Dan Rather speechless, and got him on the phone and said, you know, we have Cate Blanchett playing Mary, and we have a young up-and-comer named Robert Redford wants to play you, and he was floored.
Well, yeah, I can imagine. Yeah. I'd be, you know, if somebody said to me, yeah, Diane Keaton wants to play you, Bonnie.
Yeah.
Yeah, no problem.
Sure.
Hey, for sure.
Just another Thursday.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so you're working with this phenomenal actor but amazing director, Robert Redford. How do you learn from him, or what? Or does he step back and let you direct? How does that work?
He was very, very respectful. He just sort of said, "Listen, I'm here to be an actor," and he said it to me before I even sort of broached the subject. He said, "Look, I'm here to be an actor. I'm not going to look at the monitor. I'm not going to, so." And I sort of would go to him with things and sort of, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? Because, I mean, I think I would be really stupid not to pick, the brain of, the first time he directed a movie, he won the Academy Award. So, you've got a pretty great director on set. So I was able to kind of pick his brain. But he was very much, he, I think, was aware of the shadow he could cast, and aware of, that he at any time probably could step in and change things if he wanted to. And that's not what he was there for. And it was really wonderful. And especially somebody like him, he lives for filmmaking. I mean, he's dedicated his entire life to it with Sundance and everything like that, and supporting younger filmmakers. And so he was a dream.
What to you makes a really good story? I mean, you're a writer.
Oh, God. I mean, it's a great question. I don't know if there's a great answer. I just think something that compels you and interests you and sort of pulls you along emotionally, as well as, maybe gives you some things to chew on intellectually. If you can if you bake all that in, and not be bored, you're going to have a pretty good time at the movies.
Yeah, and it was a challenge for you to take somebody's, Mary's memoir, the book, and make that into a screenplay, as opposed to having something just from your head?
No, I mean, I actually really do enjoy doing true life stories, because and we use Mary's book was great, but we used it as a jumping off point. And then we went and spoke to everybody we could who was sort of involved in it, and got different perspectives on it, got different reads on it. And people disagree sometimes when they remember things differently. And so we tried to put all of that in as well, so that it's not just one person's point of view. But I sort of love building something that way, because it's, if you sit down and actually talk to the people, you're going to get so many more wonderful things than you can invent.
Yeah, have Dan and Mary seen the film?
They have, yeah.
And
they're still talking to me, so I'm happy about that. No, they liked it, so I was really gratified.
Yeah, no, it's so eye-opening. I told you earlier that I'm so glad that I don't work in hard news, because really, especially now too, I think there's just more scrutinization than ever.
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah, so I'll stick to my entertainment stuff. It's easy going. So you have had such a wonderful career, because the movies that you've written, it's not just kind of one kind of genre, right? Mm-hmm. You've got horror, you had White House Down, huge, big, giant action film, Spider-Man, of course.
Spider-Man.
Oh my goodness! I mean, so for you, what do you like what when you sit down to write something, what do you like to tackle?
I think it's all sort of different things. I like to work on different kinds of things, because I think nobody just goes and sees action films, and nobody just goes and sees dramas, and I sort of, if I just did kind of one thing, I think I get really bored by it. So it's sort of like what you said. It's more about, is the story compelling? Is the story interesting? It's like, I grew up on The Godfather and Goodfellas, but I also grew up on Die Hard and Lethal Weapon. So that's what's sort of exciting to me.
When you're writing, do you envision actors if they're not cast?
Sometimes I do, but more often, especially with true life stuff, it's a lot sort of easier to kind of just envision the people you've spoken to doing it. But yeah, sometimes it helps.
Yeah. So what's next? Are you already?
So my kids are gonna say, oh look, it's that man who we haven't seen in a while. No, there are a couple sort of things in the hopper, and there are a couple things I'd love to direct, but there's I don't know what's on the docket next.
Okay, so what is the truth? What does truth mean to you?
Well, that's a great question. I think it's the reason the movie's called Truth is because it's the thing that everybody's trying to get to. I think it's the thing that everybody sort of aspires to in journalism, and sometimes it's a lot tougher to find than others. So it's sort of what the struggle is to get to, is the ultimate goal.
Yeah, well, you've done a great job with this. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Best of luck with it, and
Thank
I
you.
hope we'll be talking to you a lot more.
Oh, that'll be great.